Imagine a city trapped behind walls, a place where starvation and death are everyday realities. 200,000 people crammed into just over 1 square mile. Children with no parents living in constant fear. And yet, in the heart of this nightmare, one woman risked everything to save thousands of lives. Her name was Irena Sendler, and she became a hero no one could silence. By the end of this story, you'll see how courage, cunning, and compassion can outshine even the darkest evil. It began on September 1st, 1939. The roar of German bombers filled the sky above Warsaw. Within weeks, Poland was invaded from both the west and the east. The city of Warsaw, a vibrant cultural hub, fell under Nazi control, and life as its people knew it vanished overnight. Families were torn apart, their homes reduced to rubble. Neighborhoods that once echoed with laughter were now silent, gripped by a fear that became a constant, unwelcome companion. The vibrant tapestry of life was shredded, replaced by a monochrome existence of survival. Then, on October 12, 1940, the nightmare intensified. The Nazis constructed a wall, a barrier of bricks and barbed wire, sealing off a section of the city. They forced 200,000 Jewish people into this prison, an area of just over 1 square mile. This became the Warsaw Ghetto. Conditions were unimaginable. An average of 7 people were crammed into a single room. Food was scarce, leading to widespread starvation. Disease ran rampant, with typhus and other illnesses claiming lives daily. Death was everywhere. By 1942, a staggering 83,000 people had perished inside these walls from hunger and sickness alone. For those who survived, a worse fate often awaited. Deportation trains regularly left the ghetto. Their destination was not a resettlement camp, but certain death in the gas chambers of concentration camps like Treblinka. Hope seemed like a distant, forgotten memory. And yet, behind these walls, a quiet resistance was forming, and a woman named Irena Sendler was about to change the fate of thousands. Irena was not a soldier. She wasn't a politician or a general. She was a senior administrator at the Warsaw Social Welfare Department, a petite, unassuming woman with a fire in her heart. Before the war, her department provided aid to the city's poor, unemployed, and orphaned. When the ghetto was created, she couldn't just stand by and watch the unimaginable suffering. She refused to be a silent witness to such inhumanity. Risking her own life, she and her colleagues forged documents to continue providing aid to Jewish families. But she knew it wasn't enough. So she joined Jagoda, the Polish Council to Aid Jews, an underground resistance group. Irena became the head of its children's section. Her mission, to smuggle Jewish children out of the ghetto and to safety. It was an operation that required extraordinary bravery and ingenuity. How do you get a child past armed guards, searchlights, and checkpoints? Irena and her network devised countless ways. They hid children in ambulances, sometimes pretending they were dying of typhus to scare off the guards. They smuggled them out through the city's sewer system, a dark and terrifying journey. They concealed them in anything they could find: toolboxes, potato sacks, even coffins. Each escape was a life or death gamble. Each rescue required absolute secrecy, meticulous planning, and an unwavering belief in what they were doing. How do you hide a child from an army trained to kill? Irena did it over and over again, but she did more than just save their lives. She fought to preserve their identities. For every child she rescued, she wrote down their original name and their new, adopted name on a small piece of tissue paper. She collected these precious slips of paper, placed them inside glass jars, and buried them under an apple tree in a friend's garden. She hoped that one day, when the war was over, she could dig up those jars and reunite the children with any surviving family members. In total, her network is credited with smuggling out around 2,500 children. Then, in October 1943, the knock on the door she had always dreaded finally came. The Gestapo had found her. They arrested her and took her to the infamous Paviak prison. There they interrogated her. They beat her mercilessly, fracturing her leg and her foot. They wanted names. The names of her fellow resistance fighters. The names and locations of the children she had hidden. And yet she never spoke a word. Even in her darkest hour, her resolve did not break. While she was imprisoned, her friends in the resistance didn't forget her. They managed to smuggle in small notes of encouragement, hidden in bread or clothing, reminding her of the thousands of lives she had saved and why her fight was so important. The Gestapo sentenced her to death, but Jagoda didn't give up on her. The resistance managed to bribe a guard on the day of her execution. As she was being led away, the guard let her escape into the street. Her name appeared on public bulletins the next day among those who had been executed. To the Nazis, Irena Sendler was dead. She immediately went into hiding, taking on a new identity as Klara Dabrowska, and continued her life-saving work in secret until the end of the war. Imagine enduring brutal torture, facing certain death, and still choosing to save others. That is the kind of courage that defines a true hero. By the end of the war, Irena Sendler had played a direct role in saving at least 400 children and had organized the rescue of over 2,000 more. After the war, she dug up the jars from under the apple tree and tried to reunite the children she had saved with their families. Tragically, almost all of their parents had been killed. For decades, her story remained largely unknown, hidden behind the Iron Curtain of Communist Poland. But her bravery was eventually recognized. She was awarded the Order of the White Eagle, Poland's highest honor, and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice. When she passed away in 2008 at the age of 98, the world lost a true light in the darkness. But her story remains a powerful testament to what one determined, compassionate human being can achieve in the face of overwhelming evil. In a world that can often seem filled with cruelty and indifference, Irena's story reminds us that acts of courage and compassion are never ever wasted. So the next time you think one person can't make a difference, remember Irena Sendler, a woman who risked everything, defied an empire of evil, and saved thousands of lives, one child at a time. Who will be the Irena Sendler of today? If this story moved you, share it. Let her story travel the world, and let courage inspire courage. Thank you for watching.